Hi, I'm Ryan Malyar. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Arts for the Masses. The arts are alive in Massachusetts, and I am so delighted to be able to bring them right to you. Of course, we're talking about Massachusetts arts and beyond. We touch on some really amazing topics, and today's topic is all about inclusivity in theater. We have a fantastic guest today, Sam Gould, and she is going to tell us about a really unique theater company that's right here in Massachusetts. Welcome, Sam.
Thanks, Ryan. It's great to be here. It's great to be here virtually, um, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk. Uh, we are knee deep in a production of the Prom currently, so um, this is about the brief amount of time that I have in my day. So I'm taking the call from my office, which is very funny, in my home office. Open Door Theater is a company with a longevity in Massachusetts. So we have a 45-year mission, which has been around since 1980, of inclusion and social justice and just making theater accessible to everyone. We were started by two moms at a bus stop who said, we want a theater company for people with disabilities to participate fully in. And we've sort of grown that mission incrementally over the years. So we're an integrated theater company. This cast of 50 actors that we're currently in, just to give you a snapshot, we have a deaf actor on stage and an actor with a service dog and an actor who uses a wheelchair and non-disabled actors, youth and adults together, and everyone is working to put on this show, The Prom, which has this great message of inclusivity, and even more so than inclusivity, it has a message of don't foist your accommodation on someone without their consent. So make sure that if you're going to do something for someone, you're doing it with their cooperation and even more so with their directive and autonomy. So
Wow.
it's great.
Sam, what is your role in the company?
So I've been executive director, president of the board, basically executive producer, for many years now. And then this particular show, I'm also co-producing it as a producer for the performance.
It sounds like in your situation that being president of the board is a very active position. How are you involved with the actual production? It sounds like you're wearing many, many hats right now.
So we're an all volunteer organization. No one. It's. I like to say it's the hardest job, and I work the most hours. And get paid in dividends of being able to do the work. But I'm a volunteer, as are all of us at Open Door. So as such, in nonprofits and in community theater, we all wear a lot of hats. So at any given day, I'll be painting sets or moving things in and out of my car or, scheduling, working with actors, things like that. So, but my role, my title role in this production is producer.
You're talking about the prom, and I think you're right on track there. What an awesome choice. Can you tell me about some of the other offerings at the theater company? Do you offer summer workshops and classes or just one-off acting things, or is it all production-based?
So we're all production based. So that actually, because we're all volunteer, we have the bandwidth to do one major production a year. And so we do it, and we do it with gusto. And it's a production with very high production values, the sets, the costumes, the music direction. Our music director this year is a Berkeley professor, Reedy Fister. He's great. Our choreographer used to be a Rockette, one of the choreographers. And so we have really great volunteers that come and do the shows with us. But as such, we have the bandwidth for one show. So all of our shows are ASL interpreted. For all of the performances, they're open captioned using a projector to match the set design for the entire audience. They're all relaxed format. So there's a live feed of the show around the corner, and you can watch the show, take a break, and then our second weekend shows are all audio described. And our theater is kind of a training space, not only for actors that are learning how to act, and but also for back of set designers and ASL interpreters and audio describers. So we do a lot of mentorship across the board for the theater. It's kind of a our own little microcosm of what we want the world to be, and how we train arts professionals, disabled and non-disabled, in that space.
There's so much talk training and about training and how important arts education can be for a child who's developing, or even for an adult, on how it develops public speaking and just interpersonal relationships and working as a team. And now you're doing it specifically with people with very diverse backgrounds. What sort of accommodations do you need to make? I know you're talking about so many different abilities and disabilities across the board. It sounds like a lot to manage. And I'm just thinking, for anyone who might be watching or listening and they're wanting to be more inclusive, what are some steps that they might be able to take to start doing that?
So to answer your last question first, we always say don't try and do everything at once, because it's not possible to get it all done, at once. You want to make sure that you're taking incremental steps to be more inclusive. But a lot of what we do is level the playing field. So there are barriers to participation in some activities, and it's not a barrier faced by the individual, it's a barrier that the environment has set up. So a lot of what we do are simple adaptations to help actors succeed in their roles. Like we have music stands on wheels that are very helpful to actors who are deaf and need to be using their hands, or actors who have challenges using their hands. They might have a tremor or something like that. So these simple, very cheap accommodation of a wheeling music stand has been extremely successful. We have an adaptive choreography, so that our an actor that's participating in the show this year who's using a wheelchair, we have purchased some tambourines that go on your wrist, and those are more friendly to being able to wheel the chair and do the dance moves and move around. So things like that. Some of them are the way that we distribute information to our cast and crew. We try and do that multimodally and clearly and concisely through the way we schedule and whatnot. So it just depends on the year. We've learned a lot over the past 40 plus years, but also we're learning all the time, and we're always making mistakes, and we're always fixing them, or saying, oh, that was a way to learn. And we communicate with our population and our cast and our crew, and we do education and training for our cast and crew on accommodations, so that we're kind of like spreading this movement, not just through our production, but into the community. And our cast, not only do our casts grow, but our casts come back and say, hey, I've gotten my theater company now to do captioning or audio description or something. I mean, that's the big one, but I'm just saying, like, they're more thoughtful going out into the world, and in their social media presence being really intentional in captioning and describing their images and things like that.
What sort of growth have you witnessed over the years? Have you seen any transformational experiences with any of the performers that have had the unique opportunity to participate in your company?
Every year, and just last night. I mean, it's all the time. And
Give me an example. Tell me a little. Do you have a little story of some particular person?
So, well, I mean, just last night, we had one actor that said, "Oh, I'm really disappointed that I didn't have all my lines memorized." And I said, "Well, you know what? I noticed other things that you did in this space. So you had your blocking down, but also you had a conversation wherein you included this other actor who was feeling a little disenfranchised in the moment, and you mentored a youth actor that was also, excited to share something with you, and then you did this other thing over here, which was excellent, and just the the watching the actor realize, oh yeah, I did all those things that were really important to this production, and I delivered something incredible tonight, even though I didn't feel like I was doing my best. That is a moment. That's a moment that's transformative, and those things happen all every day. I mean, I've seen generations of kids go through as children to adult to now bringing their children back to the theater company, and the light blessings. And I've seen the growth of the community when, for example, we didn't have an ASL class that we could take as a community, and we wanted to because we had a deaf actor in the show. We built one, and then we started teaching ASL, and now some of the actors are using that ASL, and other, actors that are hearing that didn't come to ASL initially are now using it elsewhere. We've had an actor come to us as a youth and was almost nonverbal and not communicative and wouldn't look to speak to people, and is now, a lead actor, working a full-time job, an adult, and majored in dance in college, and, you know, very outgoing, and so, all these different things and also a lot of actors, they learn how to articulate the comfort of their disability and own their truth by being in the space and having the conversations about it. It's not shameful to or embarrassing that I have a difference. I'm neurodiverse, so it's been great to see some of especially some of the teens say, "Hey, you know, I love doing this production because there are also guys with autism like me, or people who are neurodiverse." So it's a nice company that way.
It's fantastic. I think it would really be beneficial for our audience to understand the scope of all of this. So, sort of by the numbers, how many performers do we have, and then how many
Yeah.
people do we have assisting? I know we have a lot of one-on-one assistants and a huge team of people that it takes to put all of this together and make it run smoothly.
So we don't really have one-on-one assisting. What we have is a mentorship system.
Sure.
So we have 50 actors in the production. We pair all actors with a partner when they start. We pair a veteran with a new person, and the veteran could be someone with a disability, and the new person could be someone who doesn't identify with a disability. They're just new to our company, and that's how all actors, get onboarded into our mission, into our theater, and into our community. And so with the 50 actors on stage, we have probably another 150 volunteers doing the backstage work, the sets, the costumes, the publicity, and all of the production tasks that it takes to launch this.
In trying to create this open space, finances can always be a burden for people to want to participate in any sort of theater program. Could you tell me a little bit about the cost structures that you have, and how you're able to afford to do this? Is it a lot of grant writing that's required to bring in funding to support this fabulous mission?
Yeah, it really is. There's a lot of grant writing that we do. But in addition, there are a lot of really wonderful donors that believe in our mission and have watched over the years and been patrons over the years, or participants over the years, that make donations. We are very fortunate in the fact that we are self-sustaining with our ticket sales and our grant funding alone. Because we're all volunteer for the staffing, sure, that helps, but and the donations in kind that we get from the volunteers are exponential. We have some of the greatest volunteers with some of the best skill sets. But our ticket prices are $20 per ticket. So and we usually sell the best thing you can do is come see an open door show, because even as an audience member, it can be transformative to just be in that immersive. Really, it's a disability joy space. It's a space of community where everybody is doing their best and bringing their best self to create something together. And really, as I said, level the playing field and try and remove as many barriers as possible.
Well, that sounds like a great transition. You're talking about the ticket prices. Let's give a plug for the prom right now. When are tickets already on sale? When are the
Yeah,
performance dates? What's the location? You got the sheet in
absolutely.
front of you.
Absolutely. So we are at the Dragonfly Theater in Acton. It's a great little space. It's out of the junior high school in Acton, actually, and we kind of turn it into this disability joy space once a year. The show is March 21, 22, 23, 28, 29, 30. So those 2 weekends in March, all of the shows, as I said, are ASL interpreted and sensory friendly. The second weekend will be audio described. All the shows are open captioned with a projector feed. You get the best feedback that open captions are helpful to everybody. And the website is www.opendoortheater.org. And there you can find the link to the tickets, the link to volunteering, the know before you go information. We have up right now our social story. We have our ASL vlog introduction of who the characters are and the synopsis of the story in American Sign Language. And shortly we'll have the audio guide to the show from the audio describers as well. That gives you the wayfinding information audibly, and also information about the sets and costumes and characters and cast.
Just hearing this list of resources that are created, it sounds exhausting to me, but it only comes from years and years, I assume, of this company being in operation to be able to know what their audience and their team and their performers need to be able to address so many different things and to do them well.
Well, that's what we do. I mean, we listen to our constituents and we listen to our community, and our community says, hey, this would really help me enjoy the theater more. And so, we do that. Last year, for example, we had, we do audio description through a headset. And so that's great. And you can hear the describers. It's kind of like a sports cast. They're telling you what's happening, the action on stage. And so that, if you're blind or low vision, you could still enjoy the performance. And we do our audio description open when you walk in as an audience member. You'll hear the audio describers talk about the sets and the costumes. And by doing that, we've managed to expose people to the concept of audio description. And many low vision or blind patrons have experienced audio description for the first time, not knowing that it exists, elsewhere in movies and TV, just because they walked into our theater to try it. But last year we had a lot of patrons who were low vision, but also hard of hearing, and the systems don't integrate. Our sound system was not integrating with the audio description equipment. So we went on a deep dive trying to figure out how to integrate them. We couldn't find another theater, and I'm not talking Massachusetts, I'm talking nationally, who has equipment that does this. And so we got some. We found some, and our sound engineer is a great volunteer. He's brilliant, and was able to get this equipment to work so that we have, a mix in the headset for the audio description feed and the show feed. So if you come in as a patron who has low vision, but also, or just want the audio description because it helps orient you. I like it myself. Or blind patron, and you also need amplification of the volume. You can mix how much of each you want and amplify the whole thing. So
Well, my mind is blown over here. I work in
I know
audiovisual, yeah, and just hearing how you're putting all these pieces together, you have brilliant people
it's
can have
super
some
techy nerdy, but I love it.
I love it too. I wanted to end on a positive note, and I'm just curious, in your years with the company, is there a particular show that stands out to you as just being one of your all-time overall just favorite experiences that you could share with me?
Oh, that's such a hard question because every show is different. We had a heartbreak when we were doing Into the Woods because COVID shut it down 2 weeks before opening. Um, we had a wonderfully inclusive production last year of The Wizard of Oz, and before that, we had a SpongeBob that was just. There's too many. There's too many to count. I guess I'll have to say that in this how about answer. But my favorite is the one that we're in right now, because um, it's really important to own your truth and to be yourself. And it's wonderful to have a space where, as a person who might be LGBTQ plus, person with a disability, you can sort of live this story and explain to everybody, like, this is me and I am great, and just get to know me, but don't tell me how to interact with you. Don't tell me how I should solve the problem of the media. So it's really a very moving story about a teen angst, but also
Self-acceptance and community.
self-acceptance, autonomy, standing up for yourself in your own words, in your own way. I mean, and the community ultimately comes around. And I will tell you that we are doing the school version, even though we're adults and kids together. So I love a school version. I love a short show. It's a shorter show than usual. It's probably going to come in under 2 hours. But there are expletives in it, even though it's the school version. There are some 4-letter words. But the most important 4-letter words in the show is love. Right?
Oh,
So it's worth it if you gotta sit through a couple of 4-letter words to get to the big one.
well, I have loved having you on Arts for the Masses today. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you for making this happen, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And
I hope to see you at our show.
I will try to get there in 2 hours. Is sort. You said that was short for you, but that is sort of like the sweet spot for me. So I think you might even win over some audience members with a slightly shorter show. My attention span is waning by the day. That sounds like and you didn't mention how funny the show is too. This show, The Prom, if you haven't seen it, it's got it all. It's laugh out loud funny with so much heart too. Sounds like a perfect match for your company.
And we have a deaf actor playing the principal. So there's even some really inappropriate ableism that happens at the beginning of the show with one of the characters talking about being deaf and dumb. And we leaned in hard because it shows the arc and the, how the transformation happens, and people are like, oh, that was a mistake. And I'm going to own that mistake and I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to be less show later.
It's incredible how by bringing any sort of different, every actor brings something new to a part, but it's amazing hearing how these levels just sort of unpeel like an onion by adding different aspects and different types of performers into these roles. It sounds very exciting every time you approach a show.
Yeah, and our performers are like the best. They're top notch, and the different the accommodations and the disability integrated cast is really an enhancement in the production, and along with the high production value. So it's well worth the $20 ticket price for sure.
I'd say so. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. All the information she said it right here. So please get those tickets. You're not going to want to miss this performance. And that brings me to the end of another episode of Arts for the Masses. You can find me on all the different places now. We've been on YouTube for about 5 years. We're on Facebook, and now we are everywhere that you find your podcasts. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or Spotify, please rate and like and subscribe and share with your friends and family so that other people can find out more about theater companies just like that one in Massachusetts. I'm Ryan Malyar, and thanks for watching.